Hey, this is Sir Charles Carey. I want you to join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the TRU-MU podcast, True Music. That's where we talk about all things.
I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, producer, engineer.
All things creative.
Me and my co-host, Carl T. Smith, the smooth one, will be glad to hear you, glad to talk to you, answer your questions, and talk all things music. The TRU-MU podcast, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be part of the energy.
I can see that thing that makes men stop standing still, all in denial, suffer loss of will.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're sexy, so good to me.
Hey folks, once again, it's that time. It's Tuesday and it's 7 o'clock. Sir Charles Carey here with the smooth one. Smooth one.
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Regular stuff, SOS, same old stuff, just working on a bunch of things. That's it.
Okay.
Trying to be like you, though.
Oh, man, whatever, man. Look, I'm trying to keep my head above water and just doing what we do and trying to, stay in the enjoyment of the process because, as you know, for creatives, we don't do stress. Stress messes up the whole mechanism.
I don't know. Stress is another song.
Maybe we should write it.
This is another song.
No doubt. But folks, today, this is the TRU-MU podcast. I'm still tripping over the words. I don't know why that was decided to be the name. I do know why, because TRU-MU stands for True Music. We talk about all things creative, all things music here. And today is like many of the other days. We have an extraordinary guest, in my opinion. And yes, I am biased. She is a triple threat in my mind. I've always said this, and I truly believe it. Vocalist, humorist, speaker. I mean, she's been an MC. She's done so many things. And I don't want to belabor the moment. I just want to present to some and introduce to others my good friend, Jean Durr. Jean Durr, how are you?
Hello, Sir Charles. I can't believe I'm in the presence of such greatness. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for keeping me in your loop. I'm doing fantastic. I mean, the best thing that happened to all of us today is that we woke up. So yeah. I'm happy to be here, and I'm thanking God for that. And I thank you for always believing in me because you keep me strong.
You're my girl. If I had my way, I'd have you in the studio and you wouldn't be able to get out of the studio.
Oh, shucks, sir. You're making me blush.
No, but I've always admired your talent, your ability, your skills, and just your level of comfort. A lot of people, when it comes to being in front of people, they don't always fare well. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just admire people like yourself, like myself, like Carl, that are open to be able to be spontaneous. And I don't know if that's the speaking background, some of that Toastmaster stuff, or just the fact that you're a natural creative. So, hey, it's always good to be in good company.
Well, thank you so much. One thing I like to say, years and years ago, I met Frank Sinatra, and I actually had a chance to work with him. And every time before he performed, he was just a nervous wreck.
Really?
And I was like, Frank, I can't believe you're so nervous. And he told me, he said, if you ever get on stage and perform in front of people and you're not nervous, you're not alive. And I was like, really? Wow. So he, but of course, before he performed, I always had to fix some vodka on the rocks as well. So I don't know if that was part of his show, but yeah, he. I just remember him telling me that. He said, if you don't have any kind of butterflies or nervous, you're not alive. Everybody feels that before they go on stage, no matter how confident they appear to be. But
right.
So I just remember
what
Frank
do you
telling me
do
that.
if you don't drink? Because I'm gonna have a problem here.
Make pretend.
Well, I'll get me an old Duels and down it or something,
Exactly.
Wow. But, I wanted to kind of talk to you about a number of things. And Carl, feel free to jump in at your leisure. You know, as a creative, which I know you are, you've been creative all your life. As far as I know, I've known you and things that I've heard about you and stories we've shared. What got you going into the creative lifestyle?
You know, being the youngest of four, and my two brothers and my sister, they were a little bit older than me, so the three of them always hung out. So I just had this kind of like fantasy world. It was just me because I couldn't hang out with them. I was always too little. And I watched a lot of TV. And one of the things, I think it may have been the Milton Berle show. You know, I kept
Mhm.
saying, "Wow, that guy's really funny. I want to, you know, I think I'm funny too." And I was just always a class clown, getting in a lot of trouble because every time I got a report card, it says Jean, you know, has good grades, but she talks entirely too much.
I realized we
So
had
that
that
was
in common.
So that was pretty much it for me, and I don't know, it just seems like if something happened, I always just had the right quip, the right thing to say afterwards, so, I don't know, I think it's just it was in my DNA.
Well, let me be totally honest. I don't want people to get the wrong impression. We had a lot in common, not the good grades, but the talkative.
You want you want nobody to get it twisted.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You know, and I don't want to take any credit that I don't deserve.
Yeah, I was always getting in trouble.
So growing up, let me allude back to one of your first stories that you just shared with us about Frank Sinatra. Were you privy to any of the other Rat Packers in your interaction, your time dealing with Frank?
No, I mean, it was just totally by accident. I was actually unemployed, and I had a temporary job, and it was during
Okay.
the Reagan inauguration when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. And they said, you know, we have this temporary job that lasts for about 3 weeks, and you'll be working with the chairman of the inaugural committee. And I was like, oh, Republicans, I don't want to do that, but the rent had to be paid. So, um,
Yeah, gotta
yeah,
pay the rent.
so when I showed up at the convention center, the catering manager said, "You know, the first thing I want you to do is not freak out about who you're gonna be working with. You gotta stay completely calm." And I'm like, "Look, I'm just here for a job, you know."
Right.
And, and it just and the person who was the chair of the inaugural committee was Frank Sinatra. So when I walked into the office, they were like, "Gene, this is Frank." I was like, "Well, I know who he is. He doesn't know who I am.
Right.
You know, I'm Gene Durr." And we just kinda hit it off, and what I did for 2 weeks, I just did all the contracts for all the parties that the Republicans had throughout the throughout the inauguration, so it was pretty interesting. I got to meet a lot of people. You know, I helped Pearl Bailey get dressed, I met Ella
Nice.
Fitzgerald, I
Mhm.
met, Rich Little, Tom Selleck,
Oh,
Nice.
you know, it was just amazing. It was and this was, of course, before cell phones with cameras, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
So it was all
wouldn't that would have been great, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I met Lou Rawls. I mean, it was so many people that I met. They had the Night of the Stars, and they
Okay.
had cleared out the convention center, and Frank arranged for me to be able to stay so I could see the whole show.
Nice.
Yeah,
You're
it was.
mentioning some of my favorites. Rich Little. Oh man, I just loved
Yeah,
his impersonations. Him
yeah.
and people, of that time, George Carlin, all those kind of guys.
It was quite amazing, and I was very young. It just blew my mind, and everybody kept saying, "Well, why didn't you try to sing in front of them?" And that was the one thing they said, "Don't try to audition, don't try to
Okay.
do anything, or you'll get fired." And I was like, "Gotta pay the rent, you know. Maybe we can chit chat with Frank somewhere on the side." But
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I met the Gabor sisters. I'm trying to think of. I met so
Really?
many people. It was crazy.
Was it
It was,
Ava, and Jaja?
uh-huh.
Wow.
Mildred Griffin.
Nice.
It
So is
was
it
quite.
true that you gave Frank the name chairman of the board versus chairman of the committee?
No, I mean, they right. He was already chairman of the board. I mean, I think the one thing that stood out, I actually had a conversation with Frank. You know, we were sitting on the couch. I fixed him his vodka on the rocks every day at 9:45 a.m. And I was like, Frank, I really got to tell you something. So, you know, he was like, you know, he kind of gave me this side look. And I was like, it's nothing serious, but I just have to tell you this. So he was like, well, okay, well, spit it out. And I
Are
said,
you my
well,
dad?
yeah, I said, "You look like my dad." So I just
Really?
yeah.
Oh snap! I just okay.
No, I said, you look like my dad. So he was like, wait a minute, hold up. Is this some kind of effed up paternity thing you're trying to throw at me? I was like, no, no, no. I have a dad who's black, but y'all look alike. And everybody used to call my dad Black Frank because my dad could sing and they had the same, my dad didn't have blue eyes, but the same facial structure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was like, really? So once I calmed him down, Frank Sinatra Jr. came into the office because his kids were there. He was like, guess what, y'all? She said I look like her dad. They were like, really?
Was
So it was
Tina
this
there
running
too?
joke that I was this kid that he never knew he had.
Yeah, right.
So was
Nice.
Tina there also?
Yeah. Tina, Nancy,
Wow.
and Frank Jr. Yeah. So there was one picture, and I have no idea what happened to that picture. There was one picture of me and Frank Jr. So it was just like I said, it was mind blowing. So then I told him about my brother, who is a singer. My brother used to sing with the Platters.
Okay.
And my brother, he had to have been Frank's biggest fan ever. I mean, I didn't even know who Frank Sinatra was when I was a little kid, but my brother you know, just adored him. And my brother actually was at a party in Lake Tahoe and got a chance to meet Frank Sinatra. And they said, Frank, this is Benjamin Durr. And Frank just stopped like, Durr? Are you related to Gene Durr?
There you
And it
go.
just blew everybody's mind that he remembered me. He even remembered where I lived.
Wow.
Wow.
Marilyn. Oh my God, I'll never forget her. She was the coolest thing. Okay, I have a guest here who wants to say hello. It's a cat. Say hello, kitty cat. And
Wow.
yeah, that was just the most amazing time in my life, and I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity. And I just always remembered, whenever I do perform or speak in front of a crowd, I just remember what Frank said: "You're alive. If you feel that those butterflies, you're alive." So I
Well, I
just
can't
always
wait
go
till
back
the book
to
comes
that.
out because this is really these are great stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just amazing.
When can we expect the book?
That's what somebody else said. I think I need to get with you on that because you're the book writer, sir.
That's
You
okay.
know,
Yeah, I
you,
got you. I got
yeah,
you.
I would definitely like to, the adventures,
Oh my
uh,
goodness, yes. You got look, she's heard stories and she's heard fables. So
Hmm.
folks, if you're just joining in, this is the TRU-MU podcast with myself and the smooth one, Carl T. Smith, and today's guest is Gene Durr. If you have any questions or comments about the subject matter, about music, about being creative, please feel free to post them, ask your questions. We love to engage you. Carl, what do you got for Gene?
Jane,
hi, Carl.
how you doing? Good to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Um, do you have any music out that that we can look up and check out and
Actually, I do not at this time. I've done some recording. I've done some studio recording, but at this particular moment, I do not. But that should be forthcoming. There was a movie a long time ago I saw called Diva, and this woman never wanted to be recorded. She only sang live. And I think in my younger years, I thought I was a diva. So I always wanted to just sing live.
Yeah, I
well,
would
and
love to do some
you a
stuff,
diva,
Carl.
you a
You turn
diva,
me down
that's fine.
flat, man.
You a
and I have
diva.
recorded with you, Charles. Yes.
Well,
So I'm on,
get back in the studio with him.
yes, it's
Look,
definitely a go.
I would love for Carl to write some stuff for you as well because I already know your vocal talent, Gene, and his writing ability is tops. Really, I love
Once
the way he
again,
writes.
trying to borrow money.
No, but at least between the two of us, not to say that there aren't others, but I know between the two of us, we probably would have something that you could lend your vocals to for sure. And I think there is a place, excuse me, for people of our era. Um,
Mhm.
in fact, which leads me to my next question. What are your thoughts of today's music or today's sound and music?
I'm so old school, and to me, it's a lot of synthesizers and computers. To me, it's just not a lot of pure acoustic music. I don't know who any new entertainers are. Whenever people ask me about music, I was like, okay, yeah, the Supremes, the Temptations, the OJs. But I mean, and I know that there are people like, Marsha Ambrosia and,
Yeah.
I mean, Samara Joy. I mean, she's just like it, for me, because I tend to, lean more toward jazz and big band music. So, it's hard for me. I mean, when I'm in my car, I'm listening to Sirius XM, 80s, 90s music, Smokies, Old Town. It's just difficult for me because I grew up with such amazing musicians, such amazing acoustics, such amazing writing about love and happiness, ain't no mountain high enough, if this world were mine. So, and I don't hear that. I mean, there probably are some artists out there. I love October London because he reminds me so much of Marvin Gaye. So
Yeah.
there are not a whole lot of young musicians, for my taste, that I don't even know what the heck they're singing about half the time. So I'm gonna be old school because I am old school.
So you probably would like Kendrick Lamar because he uses
Oh
"If
yeah,
This World Was Mine."
definitely. And
I
that's the
mean, they're
thing
not
with
like us. They just not like us.
Yeah, it's like a lot of songs I probably hear and know, but don't know who the artists are because I'm just not into the music like that, like I used to be. You know,
Yeah,
it's like my sponge has gotten a little drier, so it doesn't. I
I
don't
got
soak
you.
in all of that.
I got you. I mean, I don't know about Carl, but I definitely understand. I do hear something here and there with today's artists that I like, such as Lucky Day. He's got a couple of songs out. I don't know all of it. October
Hmm.
London, as you mentioned, I like some of his stuff. I haven't heard anything recently by Anthony Hamilton, but Chris Brown, Neo, he's got something that's kind of recent, but I can name them on one hand that I know I would buy. I haven't bought them, but I would buy it
Hmm.
that I do like. Um,
Hmm.
and I was going to ask you also about your, I guess your genre, but you've already alluded to the jazz that you like, your jazz, because I know you like jazz.
Hmm.
Do you feel the same way about blues or no?
I do like blues. I mean, blues. My parents played a lot of blues music. I mean, for me, when I was younger, some of the blues music just seemed kind of sad, So I never like really embraced it the same way that I did jazz. My uncle, my mother's baby brother, he used to, back in the day, people would come over with their albums, and he would always bring over some jazz album, and that's how I really got into jazz. I didn't even, it was more acoustic jazz guitar,
I know.
Ahmed Jamal, um, uh, trying to think of this one guy, Jack McDuff. He played the organ. I mean, and my uncle used to play all this really smooth music, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. So I was liking jazz as a little girl more so than I liked Motown, even though I always heard that because that was in our house. So I had those two, to bounce back off. But my dad kind of liked the blues, but everybody else liked Motown, and I like Motown and jazz. So, you know, I'm trying to think of one song that I know my mother liked, but of course it's escaping me now. Like I said, my sponges and that, moist as it used
I
to be.
totally get it. Totally get it. What you got, Carl?
So, when did you get into the music business?
Well, when I was a little girl, it seemed like whatever song I heard on the radio or something, I could harmonize with it. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but it sounded good. And and when I was in grade school, I joined the choir. Like I said, I was a class clown, but I could carry a tune. And then one day my teacher said, why don't you try out for the All Philadelphia Choir to sing with the Philadelphia Orchestra? And I was like, wow, well, okay. And I made the choir. So I sang in a lot of choirs. I sang in the church choir. I sang in the Philadelphia choir. So it started when I was a kid, and but I had a lot of issues with my lungs. So a lot of times I couldn't hold a note that long. So I just kind of faked it until I made it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so like I said, I was singing classical music with the Philadelphia Orchestra. I sang, music with the church choir, and then a little school choir. So, singing just was always an escape for me. Like I said, my sister and my two brothers, they would never let me play with them or hang out with them. So I was just always in my own little world, and whenever something happened, I think of a, words to a song and say, okay. I just remember one day my mother asked me, what time you think you're going to get those dishes done, girl? And me and my stupid self said, well, I'm going to wait till the midnight
Oh.
hour. And pow, pow, I was getting them off the floor after that. But so I was just always coming up with little quips it was, I guess, more like self-preservation, but I just pretty much entertained myself when I was a kid.
You keep saying things that remind me so much of myself. Like, for example, the popular music, the Motown sound and maybe some Stax records and a few
Ah,
other like roulette records, I don't know, maybe Brunswick, I'm not sure, but there were a lot of artists that were akin to us, but I really like standards. I like
yeah,
some of that stuff because, Jimmy, I think is it Jimmy McGriff, Coltrane and all
yeah.
these. I listen to these guys and Lou Rawls, Tobacco Road. I love that stuff, and everyone else is really dialed into soul. I like the soul, but I also allowed myself to be exposed to jazz and some blues, and of course, gospel as well. And
Hmm.
entertaining yourself was like, for me, it was like second nature. Whether I was trying to draw or trying to create a drum set with the Chinese checkerboard and the oatmeal boxes.
Right.
I still do that.
Oh, okay. See, there you have it. I mean, my mom would walk by the door and says, "Charles Carey," and I'm like, "Mom, you seen me before," because I
Uh-oh.
was into my own world. Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, talking about music and the way that we are, and I do again relate to the fact that we're not against today's music. It's just that it's doesn't have the same appeal. Things evolve. I get it. But did you have a favorite male vocalist, jazz or otherwise, and a favorite female vocalist in your time, regardless?
Uh, Let me see. When I was younger,
Hmm.
Tammy Terrell was one of my favorite female vocalists. Tammy
Okay.
Terrell that sang, if this world were mine, I'd
Yeah.
make you a king. So, and I just thought she was so pretty and she was so smart. So she was one when I was a little girl. But when I love the Supremes. I mean, Diana Ross. Everybody wanted to be Diana Ross.
She's
I
one of my
wanted to be like
favorites.
from Martha and the Vandellas because I like dancing in the street.
Mm.
Um, but when I got older, I think Sarah Vaughan and Ella were just my go-to girls. Even Carmen McRae. I mean, I got a chance to meet her. I love Jean Carn.
That's a Philly girl,
let
ain't
it
she?
go to your head, huh?
Yeah.
Ain't she a Philly girl?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I have a picture of she and I somewhere. I think I met her years ago at the Cellar Door. Is that the name of the place? It used to be the Cellar Door and something else. But yeah, I mean, it was so many women singers that I just said, wow, I wish I could sing like that. And then I was like, well, I guess I can sing, but I just had to, start reminding myself that I could carry a tune as well. And everybody's different and everybody's gift is different. But
Right.
I just remember Carmen McRae telling me, whatever you do, don't lose your gift. And I was like, wow, I got a gift. That's pretty deep,
You know, you
So
got to give. Yeah.
that kind of blew me away because the more I got exposed to being in the forefront at some point in my life, I kind of shied back. Like, am I good enough? Am I, is my voice strong enough? You know, and I had to come to the conclusion that yes, I
Well,
am good
yeah,
enough.
I think we all maybe have experienced. What about you, Carl? Have you ever experienced that? They call it imposter syndrome, but I think it's I think it's a healthy we question ourselves from a healthy perspective. You know,
Mhm.
because I know I have. Have you ever had that experience, Carl? Like,
I do it all the time up until now. I mean, I really only got into singing only because I would book studio time and the people wouldn't show up.
oh wow,
Mhm.
So that's how I got into this whole thing. In playing with the group, well, my daughter's mother she used to sing, so we would write songs for her to sing, and then we would, I would book time in the studio, and then I got a manager, and we would be in the studio all the time. But then the musicians wouldn't show, and things happen, and then you split up, and then I book time to go in the studio, and no one shows up, so I continue to record. I since I'm there and I'm paying for it, between myself and my friend Kevin, we would just go ahead and start laying down all the tracks and doing all the stuff. So, but that's how I got into the thing. Basically, I'm very happy in the back. you know, I'm, I'm, I'm extremely happy, not being in the front. But
okay.
unfortunately, I'm the only one that can rely on me, to show up. So here I am.
I wonder if it's just the evolution of an artist that if you do a thing long enough that at some point you say, the heck with it, world, here I am, or I'm just going to do it because I know if I had a measure of considerable success when I was younger, things may not have panned out for me. But now that I'm older, I won't say that I'm fearless, but I have I don't care sort of attitude about it. And I'm going to do something I've longed for versus saying, I wish I would have tried, or dag, I know I should have. I'm just going to go out and do it.
And do it. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there are people that really watch us, regardless to your level of talent. You don't have to be the best, but at least reasonably able to go out and do the talent or the task at hand.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about it. And I just love, I love music, always have. And when I wasn't doing music or performing or even trying to perform, I felt a gaping void. And when I realized it was
Mm.
because I wasn't being creative, I was like, wow, I didn't realize
Mhm.
how big a hold it had on me.
I never thought about that because for the longest, when I when I came to Howard University at 16, 17, I still had this thing about, oh wow, I'm a great singer. I sang with this choir. I sang in the junior choir at church, and there was a young lady who lived across the hall from me in the dorm, and her name is a Tawatha Aji.
Oh, I
And
remember that name, I think.
well, wait till you hear this story. So anyway, she was like, "Yeah, Jean, I heard you singing. Let's go try out for the, gospel choir on campus." I was like, "Okay, girlfriend." So we lived in Meridian Hill on 16th Street, so we had to take the bus to campus. And when we got there, she just like blew the rafters off the doggone ceiling. Anyway, she ended up being in the group M2. She was she was Juicy Fruit.
Oh,
And when I heard her sing, I just did an about face and walked out of the auditorium and never attempted to sing because I was just like, oh my God, this woman just, blew the doggone roof off the building. And I didn't sing for like maybe 15 years.
wow.
And yeah, I was just mortified, like, oh my God, I can't sing like that, but I can sing the way I sing. And that's what
Mhm.
I didn't grasp. I was so busy tripping off of her. And we're still friends to this day.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can relate. I think one of the previous episodes I talked about one of my best friends that at the time I guess we were in our 20s,
Mm.
and to me, he could sing me under the table, but I've always had this willingness to just do it. To go out there and audition and pick up the classifieds. In New York, we had showbiz and backstage, and I would pick up the classified and go on auditions and all this stuff. Anyway, I got my friend to finally commit to sing, and my best friend and him, and we were going to go out and do this performance for the show. And I was just like over the moon because he was willing to, put his talent out there. And I'm like, I didn't care he sang better than me. I was just glad to have my friends that really loved music. Finally, we can get together and go out there, and somebody pulled the plug and the show was canceled. And I was like, oh man. But yeah, but I definitely can relate to being intimidated by the church singers when they can riff all over the place. And I'm like,
my God.
These Johnny Gill singing type dudes. Yeah. That was just never my style. But like you said, Gene, everyone has their own niche, their own style, or their own thing, I just, I was just very intimidated because I grew up in church, and I watched and heard all the best of the New York choirs and ensembles. And I'm like, I can't do that stuff. But I still loved it so much. I loved it so much. I mean, and to my parents' credit, they never said, turn that music off. I'll be up early late at night. They got to go to work, and I'm singing at the top of my voice, falsetto, and doing all the background and all the ad libs, and they never, shun me or try to prevent me from doing what I do. So, I was just very grateful that probably would have really stunted me. Yeah. Well, so when did you I guess since you were a teenager, I guess basically, Gene, because we were being groomed and not realize we were being groomed into this music thing. Does that resonate with you as well?
Well, it does, because where I grew up, I mean, we didn't live that far from where the Stylistics lived. Frankie Beverly went to high school with my sister and brothers. I mean, there was music all around. So, and in our neighborhood, either you knew how to fight or you could sing. And so, and I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I was like, I think I'll sing. But there was so much music, and McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now. I mean, all these guys, we all grew up in the same neighborhood. So music was just, and my brother sang in he ended up singing with this group called the Intruders. I mean, there were so many people, now that I think about it, that kind of influenced me, because I was like, wow, all this talent right here, I could sing. But to be honest, I never wanted to be like in the front with the mic. I just always wanted to be a background singer. I just loved harmonizing with people. But my sister could sing. Both of my brothers could sing. I said, if Joe Jackson had been our dad, we'd have been rocking and rolling, man, and nice noses. So
Nice
I was
noses.
like,
Okay.
but you can't pick and choose your folks, but yeah, there was a lot of musical influence around us. And then you have TSOP, Gamble and Huff. I mean, all these folks, all these folks, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, these are all Philly people. So definitely I had that Philly sound, and we were always humming and harmonizing, any corner that you went on in our neighborhood, if people weren't fighting, they were harmonizing.
Right.
So, and we did a whole lot more singing than fighting.
Good.
So
I can see it. I can hear it. See it now. Three Durr knows. I mean. Oh wow, that's fantastic. I mean, I guess you've got some really fantastic memories. But let's take a quick pause for the pause, or pause for the cause. We got a couple of things that are going on, and we want to just share that with the audience in the not too distant future. I'm talking like 48, 72 hours.
TRU-MU Enterprises presents the show of all shows. We're going to do it one more time. MPK Cabaret, 50/50 Beach Place. Be there or you will miss. Sir Charles Carey.
See that love is blind.
The Smooth One, Carl T. Smith.
Your lips.
Soul City Collective, John R. Lewis. Tawanda Prince, and DC's own Smoke D for the True Lovers Tour. MPK Cabaret 50/50 Beach Place. Be there or you will miss all the love to go around.
So we're having a True Lovers Tour showcase on March 21st, which is this Friday, folks. And if you're watching this, whether it's live or replay, it's not too late. You can still come on in. Just go to Sir Charles Carey Music, where you can get your tickets, sign up on the mailing list, get a free download, get some free merch while supplies will last. There's plenty of free parking, some refreshments. I mean, we're going to have a fantastic time. Again, it's going to be a live taping with myself, the Smooth One, and all others in attendance. And I think you're really going to enjoy what it is that we bring to the table. Like I said, we've got Tawanda Prince, we've got Smoke D, Soul City Collective. We're just going all out to have a good time because this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is what we love. And we want you to be in attendance. So come on out and be a part of the energy, or be part of the energy, as I always say, because this is what we like to do. So be there Friday, December. Wow. March 24th.
That's the next gig, December.
Friday, March 21st from 6 to 10. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. Don't come at the last minute because this is a live taping. We don't want you to come in and miss a single solitary thing, but we're going to have a great time. And we want you to be in attendance. So the last time we did it was really great. And this week, we've got the big room. So, more space to make more noise. So I'm looking forward to it, man. So, do you write, Gene? As far as I know, you do some editing on the other side of your life, on the creative side. Do you write? Have you ever written any of your songs or spoken word poetry or anything like that, or is it something you're interested in?
I did when I was in my 20s. I used to write poems just about things that were happening in the world. I didn't write songs. My sister was an amazing writer. She wrote quite a few songs, but for me, and what I probably should have done, something would pop into my head and I would just try to turn it into a song, but I never wrote it down, and I don't know if that's just how, my head works, but I didn't do a lot of writing. I never did a lot of writing. I did a lot of, I think, on the funnier side, like parodies of songs, and would just make up different words. But no, I didn't do a lot of writing.
That could work too, though. That could work.
Yeah.
Because I never forget the time when I was doing the weekly show in Starbucks on Wordplay Wednesday, and I was asking about some Jill Scott song, and he was like, "I don't know that." And then you would sing a line of the song. It's like, "Oh, I don't know that," and then everyone in the audience loved it. She would sing one stanza and say, "Oh, I don't know that." Then she would sing the next stanza melodically with her own phrasing, and everyone just loved it. I got that tape somewhere.
Yeah, I never knew the words to a lot of songs. I just make them up, And when you said Jill Scott, that was another one of my favorites from Philadelphia. Jilly from Philly.
Yeah, and it's sad. We I don't know where she was from originally. We lost Angie Stone. It's been a lot of time for her. Is she a Philadelphia native?
That was pretty heartbreaking.
Do you know where she's from?
I want to say South Carolina, but
okay.
I'm not sure. I thought she was somewhere from the Carolinas, but I thought I read somewhere, because actually when she got killed, I was on a cruise ship, and a couple of weeks ago we were in St. Martin, Saint something, couple saints. And I thought I read South Carolina, but that was heartbreaking because I always loved her voice. And I actually got a chance to meet her and Levert at a crab feast years ago. I mean, years ago in Southwest. And they were both just really nice people. Nice. And I was like, wow. Yeah, I loved her voice. And Roberta Flack, I loved her voice.
Yeah.
And they're, that Yeah, that was pretty hard. But
And I
yeah.
noticed that you're always somewhere in the world.
Mhm.
Some cruise, some country. I mean, which is great, life experience. But did you or did you not also perform on some cruises like over the years? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that's
there,
awesome.
there was a Filipino band called the Revelation, and they were so good. I was just so impressed of these young people's voices. But I think when I walked into the area where they were, she started singing something by Sade, and I was like, "Excuse me, may I have the microphone, please?"
Oh, okay.
I started singing with the band, and everybody, would stop me on the ship. What time are you guys performing tonight? I was like, no, no, I'm on vacation. I'm just here having a good time. And then there was a jazz club, and I did sing in the jazz club probably almost every night of the cruise. I,
Mm.
you know, I
But
just
don't you
enjoyed
do
it.
something every year? You perform somewhere every year? Because I think I remember over the past year seeing or reading something about maybe you and some of your colleagues or alumni that there's an event that you guys go to and you always perform or something, or maybe I've got it twisted.
Oh no, that's a Howard University homecoming, and
Mm.
Okay.
our class, some of our classmates, we get together and have a big party at a hotel or whatever, and there's a couple of my classmates that play I want to say the trumpet, the sax, bass, and I just decided. Well, I didn't decide. One of my classmates was like, "Well, Jane can sing. Get up there and sing with them." So that's pretty much how that happened, and that was about 10 years ago. So I've been doing that with them every year, and
Oh,
and it's
nice.
fun. Like I said, I don't have a bunch of engagements, but when I do, it's fun. And I have done a couple of private parties that have, one young lady said, "Oh man, would you like to sing at my party? I'll pay you, $500." I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Mhm.
No
That was easy.
problem. And yeah, but I mean, I feel like Santa Claus. I come around once a year.
Have you ever
And
played an instrument?
no, I have not. I I used to, I wanted to take piano lessons, but the teacher got so upset with me because I only played by ear. I couldn't read music. Stevie
Mm.
Wonder could read music better than me, I'm sure. But I, if I heard it, I would sit down at the piano and replicate it. Oh, okay,
Mhm.
that was that note. But nah, I mean, and I can still pick out notes on the piano and come up with the song. I always wanted to play the drums, but my mother wasn't gonna have allow that.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, and I still may try to take some lessons because I was always banging on something. And I
Mhm.
think I remember there was a Black History Month program, Charles, where there was some drummers there, and didn't we play the drums? Because I remember playing the drums.
At the board?
Yeah.
Okay. We've done so many things like on official time and on our own time. Sometimes it all becomes a blur to me.
Well, you know what I find interesting? I don't know how many years ago that was. It was a long time ago because Alan Greenspan was still the chair of the Federal
Yes.
Reserve. And you and I sang at one of the holiday parties, and people still talk about that. I mean, last year
Uh-huh.
at the holiday party, they were like, "Gee, are you ever going to sing again?" I was like, "Well, no, because Charles isn't here for me to sing with. So you guys do that. No, not going to
Yeah.
happen." But
Good old
every
baby
year
is
they ask
cold
me.
outside. You would have been perfect for this upcoming show. I mean, because we're of a certain, not just era, but yeah, I guess that's it. The era, a certain age that we have an appreciation for good love songs, songs with
Yeah.
meaning, songs that have a message, and
Hmm.
it would be perfect. And honestly speaking, I really look forward to reconnecting when possible, and then hopefully sooner than later because we're all getting older. So I would
Yeah.
love to be able to do something, recording as well as performance wise, whether it's collaborative or individual, doesn't matter, but just to, be around like minded individuals with things
Mhm.
that we have in common because, like I said, I've always adored your talent. There, and I like working with people that I know. Honestly, it's just comfort. You have a similar feeling to that, Carl, working with people that
Always,
yeah,
always. I mean, it just becomes hard sometimes, but I mean, always, it feels good when you work in conjunction with other people and it comes off and and everything at the end of the night when you're tired and you're just tearing everything down and you're the last to leave, the first to come and last to leave. But it
Mm,
feels good, that you did it. I mean, that's how I feel.
yeah,
mm.
It's done and I did it and I had a good time. And were you
Yeah.
gonna do it again? During the whole time, I'm going like, nah, I ain't doing this no more. At the end
But
of the
you
night,
will.
at the end of the night, I'm saying like, okay, let's see, next weekend we can do So yeah, I quit at least 30 years ago. I wasn't doing this no more. I'm
I
still
invite
saying
you to stop.
people waving their hand at me because I'm saying like, listen, I'm too old for this. I'm not doing it anymore. And they're like, yeah, right. You've been saying that for 30, 40 years. So
yeah.
and I'm gonna continue saying it.
Look, that's Danny Glover's line from Lethal Weapon. I'm
I
too old
just,
for this.
I
I'm too
got
old
that's
for this.
what I was getting ready to say. Come on, Danny Glover.
I'm too old for this.
Too
Yeah.
old for this.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm too old for cartwheels. I know that for a fact.
look, what was I going to say? So, Gene, do you think? Well, I know what I think, but what do you think about again people of our era still, doing true R&B and soul music? You know, considering what we discussed earlier about today's music, do you think that there's a place for the music that we grew up hearing and liking today?
Almost definitely. I mean, places when I've gone to events where there's folks our age, that's the kind of music that we're hearing. I mean, there may be a line dance song to kind of get us to loosen up our old bones, but for the most part, that's the music. I'm trying. I can't remember the name of this female group that performs, but they perform and they do all the oldies from like the 60s, the 70s, some 50s, and I can't remember their name, but they were so good. And that's the kind of music I would dress up and go see. And so I still think that there's a place for that, definitely in our society, because it's calm. It's not noise. It's real music. It touches your heart. It touches your soul. This music that I hear is very rare that I go, oh my God, that just really resonated with that song. But I can with the music that we came up with. So I definitely think it's a place for it still today, now, and in this society, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to agree with you. Even new music that borrows from the music that we grew up with, I think there's still a place for it because if you listen to Carl's music, I think if you listen to some of my music, you'll
Hmm.
see that we are not. I don't want to say we're borrowing, but it emanates from us. It just comes out of us because those are some of the earlier influences. Although we may be using modern instrumentation or modern arrangements in some cases,
Hmm.
but, you do want to elevate. I believe that people like those songs. I was told, well, according to the statistics and insights, when I look at what my music has done on the charts, people seem to like the ballads.
Yeah.
I've incorporated features, collaborations. I'll have maybe a rapper on a song here, a rapper on a song there, and I like it. But what seems to get more listens is when it's just the vocals without
Hmm.
the hip hop influence on it. But I like both. But as you say, you got OJ said it best, Philly, right? You got to give the people what they want, right?
Mhm.
Give it up, give it up. That's right.
No.
That's right. Got to give the people what they want.
So
And most of my friends, like I said, when we go places, it's like, wow, I wish I could go someplace and hear this kind of music, you know. And there are not a lot of places that you can go even locally. You're gonna hear like I said, I don't know the names of most of these groups. I hear a song. Oh yeah, that's my jam. I don't know the name of the song, but if it's something I could dance off. But the ballads, the love songs, it, they're timeless. So they're never gonna not be in style. They're gonna always be, you know.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And
Well,
like you said, even the younger people who have sampled some of our music, trying to think, there was some song that was on the radio, and one of my friends' grandkids was like, "How do you know the words to that song?" And I was like, "Because it came out 40 years ago, before you were a twinkle in your mother's eye." Really? I was like, "Google it." These days you got to tell somebody to Google it, and
Mhm.
he's on his phone. Oh my God, you guys are really old. I'm like, "Excuse me."
you're still dancing to the beat. Yeah.
It was the same song, and I can't remember what the song was, but it was just so comical. Yeah,
Yeah, that's all right. That's why when you talk about what's his name? The guy that sounds like Marvin Gaye.
October London.
Yeah, I mean, I like his sound, even though he's got this one where he says, "Oh yeah, baby." To me, that reminds me of Frankie Beverly, Marvin Gaye combined. It's like, but the music itself is a bit modern, but
Yeah,
heavy influences of soul music.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. That's
Well,
why I
look, I
like
want
it.
to make a commitment. He got it right here live with you and Carl and I that we want to connect with you in some capacity to do something so that they can not just get the male perspective of the music we
Mhm.
grew up on, but even the female's perspective.
Sure.
And even
Yeah.
if it's jazzy or jazz oriented, I would love still to work with you, Gene, because I just love your voice and your energy. That's another thing. It's one thing to have the talent, but to have the positive energy and the positive influence. So if you get
Huh?
kidnapped, don't worry. It's just us trying.
I'm excited. This sounds good to me. I have nothing to lose and a lot to gain. So I'm honored. And I would be more than happy to collaborate with you guys. It keeps me going.
So
Because some
look,
days it's like, oh my God, I'm getting old. What am I going to do? Hey, I'm still breathing. There's oxygen going through here. I'm gonna do this. I was so excited when you asked me to even be a part of your podcast this evening, because I was
I'm
saying to
glad you're
myself, well, what am
available.
I going to say? What am I going to do? I'm just going to be me and
Mhm.
and kick it with you guys.
See that part. See, and that's another thing when I talked about your energy is like some people have turned into a bundle of nerds. Okay, well, what do you want to ask me? I like it to be organic personally. So, it doesn't get any more realer or doesn't get better than that.
Mhm.
But yeah, look, one less voyage for you, a trip of another sort, a trip to the studio.
Right.
I'm in. Count me in.
There
I'm
you
I'm ready
go.
to go.
Well, folks, you heard it here. You heard it here first. You heard it here last. And with that being said, Carl, what you got coming up, man?
Well, I'll be in Maryland on the 21st, and then got a couple of other things lined up. A couple of stuff in a couple of different states and things like that.
Nice.
And then got some events up here in New York. Working on some stuff now. 24th, of course, of May. We're doing that, and then I got quite a few more things. And then I want to. I'm going to come on my way down. I'm going to check out a friend's club down there in Delaware. Try to hook up some stuff over there too.
Man, keep me in mind. I'm interested. I think Jean's interested. You just heard it from her mouth. Oh, we got some other comments. Oh, that's George.
George
George
Ralph.
O'Neill. Your boy.
Yeah, George Ralph. George O'Neill.
Mhm. Yep. Thanks for joining in, George. Thanks, Shantae, for your comments. And again, folks, we're wrapping up, but the smooth one, Carl T. Smith. I'm Sir Charles Carey. Today, our guest was Gene Durr. And any questions, any comments, pros, cons, whatever it may be, please feel free to just throw them in below, and we will definitely respond to you. We'd love to get your feedback and love to answer you. You know, for myself, what I have coming up, well, 2 days from now, again, we'll be at the MPK Cabaret with the True Lovers Tour. So those of you that like good songs, good romantic music, throwbacks, or you like that flavor, most important, that flavor, we're going to present a lot of that flavor on the 21st, which is Friday, this Friday, from 6 to 10. Again, free parking, refreshments. Sign up, get your tickets, get on the mailing list. You're going to get a free download. You're going to get some free merch while supplies last, and we're going to go all in. And then in May 24th, as you heard, the Smooth one just mentioned, I'll be in New York with him on his platform, and more True Romance continues, you know, on the CTS Productions platform. So we're really going in, letting you know that R&B and soul is very much alive. We love what we do. You know, we just want to bring it to you. We want to share it and explore, and just keep the vibe flowing. You know, that's where it's all at. And
Yeah.
Gene, again, we just thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come on board and share some fantastic stories. You know, really fantastic stories. I love it. And until next time, folks, you got to be part of the energy. You know, I always say you got to radiate the brain and change the game. Well, that's being part of the energy. Until
Amen
next
to that. Thank you so much.